In today's video, I'm going to show you the carb foods that I as a sports dietitian eat to help hit my nutrition goals. Let's go. Hi, I'm Alex, a sports dietitian and nutrition coach. Welcome again to one of my videos. Thank you again for clicking and watching. Now, before we get into today's topic, please remember, as always, to subscribe and ring that bell so you can stay in the loop of all my future releases. So welcome to my kitchen. As I've said before, this is where the magic happens, but without having the right food on hand, it's hard to hit my nutrition goals. So that's why today I want to introduce you to the type of foods that I eat to help hit my macros and stay on track. And in this series, I've already covered protein, so if you haven't watched that already, you can click up here and watch it. Others today is carbs. Okay, today's topic is all about carbs. So I'm going to show you what I personally eat for my carbohydrate intake to help me hit my goals as a basketball player, as a hiker, and just overall as a fitness enthusiast who wants to just be their best possible self, and just to give you some ideas. And this will be relevant no matter what level of sport you are, whether you are competitive level or whether you're more recreational, or whether you just consider yourself just a weekend warrior / everyday athlete. This will apply to you because everyone can benefit from carbs. In fact, carbs is our kind of primary source of fuel. So when we eat carbs, it's what our body will preferentially use to fuel us. And therefore, carbs are important for performance. Plus, they taste great. So stop hating. But a bit of a disclaimer, as always, remember that what I show you today is the options I personally eat. Doesn't mean you have to eat the exact same way. Everyone needs an individualized plan. So reach out to me afterwards if you feel like you need an individualized plan for yourself. So without further ado, let's show you my carb foods. Okay, so the first major carb food that I eat in my diet are good old quality rolled oats. Okay, so rolled oats are a great source of not only fiber, but also other nutrients that are in whole grain type foods. But most importantly, I love the versatility of oats in the morning where I can add protein powder, which is what I do. I make protein oats or proats and things like that. I can add fruit to it. I can even add a little bit of indulgence by adding maybe a little bit of choc chips or something like that, just to add a bit of extra sweetness and a bit of extra different flavor. But they're just a great source of a good quality fiber, good quality carbohydrate. They're very versatile, as I mentioned. They can be added and mixed in with protein for a very filling, nutritious breakfast, or to be honest, eat it whenever you want. Plus, not to mention, you can use oats in a lot of recipes as like a flour substitute in certain cases, as well as just as a base for certain things like, different cookies and cakes and baked goods that you can make that are macro friendly. So oats are just a great, cheap and versatile way for you to eat good quality carb. And honestly, if there was one carb that I could recommend most people eat, would be oats. Now the next carb staple that I eat is in fact rice. Okay, so you may be watching that and be like, rice, really? I thought rice was unhealthy. I thought rice was causing me to gain weight and all this type of stuff. No, that's not the truth. Okay, at the end of the day, it all comes down to your caloric balance, and rice can be a very great way, very cheap and easy way for you to hit your carb targets, especially if you're an athlete. And not to mention that it tastes great and it can be added to all other different foods, so you can't be hating on rice. And as you notice here, what I've got here is in fact white rice. So you don't have to necessarily just eat brown rice if you hate it, or all the other kind of more grainy kind of rice. You can eat white rice as well and still be healthy. And stop listening to the misinformation out there saying that white rice is this villain in your food supply. It really isn't. As long as you eat it the right way, with the right strategy, and you're enjoying your diet, that is what matters. So yeah, rice is very much a staple in my diet. Now the next choice is legumes. Okay, I've got here some black beans, but you can have kidney beans, you can have chickpeas, you can have those mixed beans like 4-bean mix and those sort of things. You can have baked beans, doesn't really matter, but legumes and lentils are a great way for you to add carbohydrates in your diet that are also high in protein and very high in fiber. Okay, not to mention they're as close to a nutrition powerhouse as you will get when it comes to food. They're great in terms of adding to salads. You can eat baked beans just by themselves. You can add this and mix it in with different vegetables. You can have it just as a side. There's so many different ways for you to eat legumes, but they're a fantastic way for you to get some good quality carbs in your diet without compromising on nutrition. Really, really filling, really, really healthy. And honestly, if you can have regular based legume in your diet, you'll be doing well. The next one is good old pasta. Now I've got a good quality one here, the Smart Protein Pasta by Veta, which is a really good option for you. I'll show you that closer. But honestly, any kind of pasta will do. A lot of people hate on pasta because it's kind of a white carb, so to speak. So they go, okay, it's a very refined carb, so it's not going to be healthy for me. It's going to cause me to gain weight. No, I think it comes down to the fact that pasta is one of those Ones that I don't have too often because it really is easy to overeat. For some reason, you give me a bowl of pasta and I'll want more. But as part of an overall balanced, healthy diet, a good quality pasta can't go wrong. Okay? You don't have to exclude foods. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't have to exclude certain foods that you love just for the sake of losing weight or gaining muscle or being an athlete. All these things can still be in place if you follow a flexible approach to nutrition, as I do for myself and for my clients. So yeah, pasta, very much something that I use in my diet, just not as regular as some of the other stuff. And the next one is bread. Now, I haven't bought my loaf for the day. Okay, so yesterday I went through my first loaf. Now I have to buy a new one, so I don't have a loaf to show you, but you know what bread looks like. Any kind of bread will do, but honestly, anything more grainy is obviously healthier. It has more fiber, but even if you're wanting just white bread, that is still a-okay. I'm here to tell you that it's okay to eat white bread. I still eat white bread on a regular basis because I get most of my fiber from things such as the legumes, such as fruits and vegetables, such as all these other foods that give me my fiber and nutrients. And bread is something that I just use for other ways. It's a great way to also add some carbohydrates before a game, after a game. It's just very versatile. Stop fearing bread. It's probably the one that I get most often from new clients in terms of them fearing is bread, where they'll tell me bread causes them to gain weight, bread makes them do this, bread makes them do that, and they consider bread a villain that they have to cut out. And in many of these cases, these individuals actually enjoy bread, so they end up craving it later and then overindulging and feeling guilty, and it's a perpetual cycle as part of the hamster wheel of dieting, as I've mentioned in the past before. But bread is not something to be feared. Eat it in the right way. Enjoy the bread. You'll be fine. And if you want to go the extra step, go for a good quality grainy bread and you'll be okay. The next one is potato. Now, I don't have fresh potatoes for today, but I have something that I use on a regular basis, which is a good quality pre-cut potato chips. So say that if you look at the back and you make sure that it doesn't have a whole bunch of fats and salts and stuff like that added, and that's on the lower calorie end. So this one I've shown you here is on the lower calorie end versus some other options and some other brands. So finding something like that can be a great convenient way for you to eat potatoes in your diet. Now, of course, you don't have to eat it in this way. You can obviously go to the fresh stuff and cook it from the first step yourself. That's obviously the best way, but you kind of mix it up. I like this because it's very easy for my busy lifestyle, very versatile, and kind of easy just to kind of pop in the oven and it's ready to go. But if you're someone that prefers to kind of cook it themselves and chop it up themselves, that's perfectly okay as well. Do so if you want, but don't fear potatoes. Potatoes are one of the other common villains for a lot of people, where they feel like that's the reason they've gained weight or that's the reason they're not achieving a certain nutrition goal. And in actual fact, that is not true. It all comes down to calories. It's just that a lot of times the way people are eating potatoes is deep fried or eating too much of it because, well, potatoes taste great, as you would know, and therefore easy to overeat. You get the point. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you've been stuck in that loop before. So that's something to consider, but overall, potatoes are a healthy part of the diet. They have a lot of nutrients, which many people don't understand. And when you're comparing potato to sweet potato, they're very nutritionally similar. Keep that in mind. They're very nutritionally similar. Sweet potato is not this holy grail of potatoes, and then white potato is this thing that you should avoid. Very, very similar. Very minuscule differences in terms of calories, pretty much identical, for lack of a better word. The next carb food that I kind of eat on a relatively regular basis is something like a honey. Now, honey is not something that I just eat by a spoonful or eat heaps. It's more something that I add, for example, in certain sandwiches that I want for athletic purposes, like if I'm trying to eat something before a training session or something like that, or after a training session to get some carbs in me and get my glycogen up. But something like honey or even jam, so alternate between jam and honey, something like that is a great way to add a bit of extra kind of sweetness to your diet. Just don't go overboard because it's really easy to overeat. It really is high in sugar and sweetness, and you just got to be careful about that. But you don't have to fear it. You can still eat it as part of a healthy diet as long as you're hitting your other nutrition targets and maintaining the right calories you need for your sport, for your position, for your goals. You'll be a-okay. So something like honey is a great way to sweeten things like oats, or add it with peanut butter on toast or something like that, or in a sandwich. Just the same way jam would be, peanut butter and jam sandwich. Classic example of a sports nutrition food used in that specific context. So yeah, something like that can be a great way for you to add a right type of carbohydrate in your sports nutrition mix. And then finally, we've got a very specific carbohydrate, which is a sports nutrition kind of staple, which is something like a carbohydrate electrolyte drink. I've got Stamina there. You can have Powerade, Gatorade, whatever you really want, doesn't really matter. I use that very sparingly, very specifically for specific cases. I do not just drink that every day like normal. Some individuals will drink sports drinks like they're going out of fashion. That is not what you want to do. They are very high in highly palatable sugars, and therefore very easy to overdo without really filling you up. and there's not really much nutrition outside of the carbohydrate it gives you for recovery purposes. So only use those things under the guidance of a sports dietitian ideally, or just for specific cases such as a really hard training session on a hard game where you really need to replenish the carbohydrates and electrolytes. They're not just to drink willy-nilly, okay? They're just for a specific purpose, but I thought I'd throw them in there because we are talking about a nutrition staple for athletes in general, so that's something that I felt you should hear about as well. It's not a whole food thing, so it's very sparingly used, but it's still something in my mix that I use when I need it, and as I desire. These days, I don't use it as much as I used to, but still, I still use it sometimes if I need a drink during a heavy session, just to get my carbohydrates up, as well as replenish the electrolytes if I've been sweating. So there you go, that is my carbohydrate staples that I wanted to show you. As you can see, some of those might have surprised you. In actual fact, maybe half of those surprised you, thinking a sports dietitian eats those? Yes. In actual fact, all the foods I showed you today, more or less, most of them, not all of them, are whole food based and are perfectly fine as part of a healthy overall balanced diet for the athlete. Carbs are our primary fuel source after all, so you want to be making sure you're fueling yourself correctly in the right way. And of course, if you've liked what you saw today, hit the like button, okay? Show this video some love. You might want to also, hit the like button if you've got some new ideas and be like, oh, I can eat that and still be okay. And now you've added that to the mix. Still hit the like button so that I know that it's helped you. And comment below, okay? Comment below and let me know what's your favorite carb food. Okay, I'll show you some of my more favorite ones. What are your favorite carb foods? Oh, and by the way, if you want a sports dietitian to personally help you, work with you to develop a flexible nutrition plan that lets you eat carbs like this and still fuel for success and still become the athlete you want to be, while maintaining an overall accountability and guidance and making sure you're not restricting yourself unnecessarily. If that is something that you desire and you want to escape the pitfalls of traditional dieting, such as telling you can't eat this and can't eat that, then reach out to me, okay? In the description below, you'll find an application link. Otherwise, you can send me an email as well at alexa@theclimbingdietitian.com.au, and we can have a chat, see if it's a good fit, and go from there. As always, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so we can stay in the loop of all the videos I release. Stay classy. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.